In this episode, Godzilla, the king of monsters, finally makes a spectacular appearance. Believing it's about to enjoy a feast, Godzilla is instead met with a trap set by General Puckett of the US military. At Puckett's command, Godzilla is nuked in front of a nuclear bomb that turns him into air. At least that's what they think. The story continues from the last episode. Lee, who views Kate's father Hiroshi like a son, immediately escapes with everyone from the Monarch Rehabilitation Center where he was imprisoned upon hearing of Hiroshi's disappearance. While driving, Lee recounts his and Hiroshi's mother's encounter with the Black Dragon in the Philippines. After discovering the hidden Titan creatures on Earth, they established Monarch with the support of the US military. In 1954, they found a massive footprint in a mudflat in Indonesia. However, Puckett wasn't satisfied with just a footprint. He wanted photos of the Titan creatures as evidence. Lee, though, suggests they have a way to lure the Titans out, estimating it would require about 68 kilograms of uranium. Puckett is shocked, noting that's the same amount as the atomic bomb dropped on Japan. Keiko, a Japanese, rolls her eyes but patiently explains that Titans seem to absorb and ingest radioactive material. Lee believes it's better to actively lure and eliminate them than wait passively for their appearance, as their immense size poses a global security threat. Puckett initially refuses their proposal, but a few months later, they are invited to the Bikini Atoll in the Central Pacific, where the US military has prepared a nuclear bomb as bait for the Titans. They spent a lot of time sunbathing on the beach with the military brass, but there was still no movement in the ocean. Just as Lee was lamenting that the military would never give them any more funding for research, the soldier monitoring the sonar suddenly heard something, and then his headset burst open. A massive roar emerges from the sea, and through binoculars, they see a creature in black armor swimming rapidly towards the nuclear bomb. Lee suggests everyone keep their distance as a precaution, but Puckett, already resolute to strike first, believes this will give humanity an advantage in the battle against the Titans. As the sea monster surfaces, it's none other than Godzilla, the familiar king of monsters. As Godzilla shows interest in the bomb, it suddenly explodes. The US military, seeing the dissipating smoke and Godzilla's disappearance, applauds, celebrating their victory. Only Keiko was grief-stricken, believing this to be the start of a war provoked by humans against the Titans. The story returns to the present. With the help of a friend, Lee takes a plane to Alaska, where Kate's father Hiroshi disappeared. After joining Monarch, the three of them stopped wandering the world and instead gathered Titan creature data in the office. The last time Lee saw Hiroshi was 20 years ago. As the plane approaches its destination, it encounters a storm. Lee pilots through the storm and makes an emergency landing on a snow-covered mountain.
Here we go!
Nearby, they find the wreckage of Hiroshi's plane with a frozen pilot inside but no sign of Hiroshi. At that moment, Duho discovers a tent, seemingly lived in by Hiroshi. Kate and her brother are overjoyed, believing their father is still alive. Duho notices claw marks of a giant creature on the plane wreckage and warns everyone of danger before running to start the plane. As Duho tries to return with the plane, a Titan creature emerges from the ground and attacks. The metal plane is like a toy in the creature's grasp. The creature spews white smoke, instantly freezing the entire plane into an ice sculpture. The ice giant turns to the remaining 4 people and lets out a massive roar. The ice giant charges at them. Kentaro sees the monster's attention to the explosion of the plane's wreckage. Instead of fleeing with the others, he grabs a flare from the snow and fires it into the sky. The ice giant freezes people into ice blocks. In reality, it is a type of Titan creature that feeds on heat. Kentaro takes advantage of the giant's focus on the burning flare to follow Lee and the others into a cave for shelter. The creature follows them. As they hold their breath, Mei slips and a leg falls into the icy water. Though Kentaro pulls her up, the bone-chilling cold almost makes Mei cry out. Mei desperately covers her mouth, knowing any sound could make them prey for the monster. After the creature leaves, they exit the cave. Mei regrets getting involved in this mess. With the plane destroyed, they can't leave. Hearing Lee's plan to walk to the northwest coast, Kentaro suddenly remembers seeing a huge circular white structure resembling a golf ball before landing, potentially a place to find help. Following the direction Kentaro saw, They climb a mountain peak and indeed spot a glowing location in the distance, but another mountain peak lies ahead. Seeing everyone exhausted, Kentaro decides to go alone for help, while the others head back to Hiroshi's tent to spend the night. However, at night, the ground starts shaking again. The ice giant, attracted by their lit campfire, appears and swallows the flames. Lee deduces that the ice giant feeds on heat and comes up with a plan to defeat it. They still have some aviation fuel left to create a large bonfire as bait. While the giant is distracted by the fire, they will escape toward the northwest coast.
Love getting one over on me.
But plans don't always go as expected. As Lee pours the fuel, the ice giant reappears, chasing Kate and May. With May's legs still injured, she is quickly caught up by the giant. Kate desperately waves at a helicopter approaching in the distance. May was about to be turned into an ice sculpture. Lee took precautions and ignited the fuel. The bright fire and heat immediately attract the ice giant, who turns to consume it. The person in the helicopter is Kentaro, who rescues them and avoids the ice giant's attack. Lee sees the cave where the ice giant emerged glowing with colorful lights, indicating a large amount of radioactive isotopes inside. They learn from Kentaro that he found an abandoned outpost and sent a distress call on the emergency channel. He also discovered traces left by his father, but the notebook with Monarch data was frozen and the data lost. Upon landing, they are unexpectedly greeted by Tim from Monarch. Godzilla, having fed, begins to act. In Godzilla 2, there's a line, "The Earth is Godzilla's world. Humans just live in it." As more Titans awaken, humanity's hope rests on Godzilla. The group is taken to Monarch's headquarters in Alaska, USA. Natalia, the organization's deputy director, is troubled by 90-year-old Lee. After showing him a video of Professor Randa, Natalia inquires about what Lee and Hiroshi's children are planning. Perhaps Hiroshi kept his work hidden to keep them out of it. Now, Lee has led the children to a Titan creature unknown to the entire organization. Though Lee is reticent, Natalia suspects he has other motives. Meanwhile, Kate and the others are soon sent to the airport. Tim arranges new passports and money for them to return to Tokyo, considering their survival from the Titan is sheer luck. Originally planning to return to Tokyo, May is persuaded by the siblings to go to San Francisco. Upon arrival, they are picked up by someone sent by Kate's mother. San Francisco is still recovering from Godzilla's battle, but people are unwilling to leave their homes. Living in makeshift shelters, Caroline's studio is collecting personal belongings from the ruins of the Great Battle. Through conversation, Caroline finally admits that Hiroshi, Kate's father, barely lived with them. Suspecting him, Caroline had sent her daughter to check the house in Japan. Caroline had her own difficulties, with her husband missing and Kate shutting herself away in guilt over her students' deaths. Caroline feared Kate might take her own life, so she sent her to Japan as a reason to live. Kate is angry at her mother's treatment. She takes her father's key, planning to visit Hiroshi's San Francisco office to see if he left anything behind. Caroline warns Kate not to enter the military's red zone, where looters are arrested daily and resistors are shot. Eventually, Caroline is persuaded to use her work to take them to the center of the city, under military blockade, warning them they must leave by dawn. At Monarch headquarters, Natalia is still interrogating Lee. She doesn't understand why, after decades of peaceful life, he suddenly decided to escape the nursing home. Lee says he wants to do something because the world is on fire. Natalia thinks Monarch, with the world's smartest team, doesn't need an old man like him to save the world. Lee mocks them for spending 60 years preparing for G-Day, or Godzilla Day. Is watching monsters fight the best they could come up with? What if Godzilla loses? Lee seriously tells Natalia that Monarch's approach is wrong and has been for a long time. Back in San Francisco, when Kate and her group head to Hiroshi's office location, they are discovered by the military. They narrowly manage to evade their pursuers and arrive at a tall building, where Hiroshi's office is located on the top floor. However, after searching for a long time, they find no information about Monarch. Kate notices a map on the wall. She used to think her father's work involved satellites because of the sine wave orbits. Now she suspects it's something else, possibly a world map hiding continents. By now it was getting light and Kentaro suddenly told them to hang the diagram back on the wall. His first art installation involved projected images, showing how one image can reveal something new when placed over another. He punctures holes in a map from his father's notebook, and as sunlight shines through, bright spots converge on 3 areas: San Francisco, Alaska, and Africa. Kate deduces that this is her father's course of action, if he's still alive. His next destination would be Africa. After being sent home by her mother, Kate reveals the truth about her father. He didn't die in Alaska, and she's determined to find him. Unbeknownst to everyone, May hides and dials Monarch's number.
I want to go home. Tell me what I need to do.
Smart girl. I'll be in touch.
The story shifts to Monarch headquarters in 1955. Professor Bill detects a surge in radiation on a Japanese island, suspecting the presence of a Titan creature. Upon arrival, they meet Professor Suzuki, already monitoring the area. He believes the unidentified object emits gamma radiation, so he creates a gamma radiation simulator. After testing, he finds the object responds with more radiation, as if it's answering his call. Bill believes Suzuki's method is groundbreaking, marking the beginning of communication between humans and Titan creatures. When the device is activated, Lee finds Keiko and expresses his love for her. However, she believes his priority is his career and that their love might interfere with their research at Monarch. Just then, Keiko notices the gamma radiation simulator's sound stops echoing over the lake. A metallic sphere shoots out of the calm lake. Godzilla in the water roars to vent his frustration, expecting a tasty treat, but it turns out to be a gamma radiation simulator. The device was sent flying by a swipe of Godzilla's tail. They are shocked to realize the Titan creature in the lake is Godzilla, who they thought had perished in the previous island nuclear explosion. Back in the present, during Lee's transport, Duval from Monarch intervenes and rescues him. Duval believes Lee holds secrets even Monarch isn't aware of. Lee admits he doesn't know more than Monarch's scientists. He just knows the truth. He regrets not doing enough when he had the chance and now wants to make amends. Duval questions why he doesn't share the truth with Monarch for help. Lee says he told them everything years ago, but they didn't believe him, treating him like a madman. Monarch isn't what it used to be. Anyone who disagrees is seen as insane. Duval reveals her sister died at the hands of the Titan creature Janjira in Japan. She joined Monarch hoping such tragedies wouldn't recur. Many in the organization share her thoughts, waiting for someone to guide them. Duval believes Lee is that person. They arrive at Kate's house, warning of an impending disaster far worse than the San Francisco Godzilla incident. Hiroshi was likely trying to prevent it, and Lee believes this can lead them to him. The group heads to the Algerian desert in Africa, a location found in Hiroshi's office. May only wishes to return to Japan. Duval promises her freedom after the desert mission. Upon arriving at the coordinates left by Hiroshi, Kate discovers that there are already Monarch members there. She doesn't trust the organization because of her father. Soon they come to a valley and Kentaro sees his father through the binoculars. Kentaro and Kate happily wave and shout at Hiroshi, but Lee notices Hiroshi's gestures signaling them to leave. As they attempt to escape, a helicopter appears, piloted by Tim, who found the location through the map in Kate's office. Suddenly, the ground shakes and splits open, rolling them down the hillside.
Oh my god.
After Kentaro helps Kate avoid the tumbling SUV, there's a loud gasp from behind them. It turns out they were on top of Godzilla, the king of the monsters. Awakened, Godzilla stands and roars, sending Tim's helicopter flying. Godzilla took one look at the little ones in front of him and turned away, leaving the surprised people at a loss for words. Lee recalls when they discovered Godzilla was still alive in Japan. He planned to report back, but Keiko feared the US would use even stronger weapons against Godzilla. Unexpectedly, Monarch's base had already been taken over by others appointed by the general. Since that day, Lee has been detached from Monarch. Kate asks if he knows how to stop Godzilla. Lee intends to save, not stop Godzilla, promising the truth if they follow him. But Kate's group refuses, prioritizing finding her father over the truth. And the temporary team parts ways.